Hey, what's up, guys? This is a demo video for a personal saber of mine. This is the Ignition Saber Company and Azzy's Workshop Ocularis. So this is a very special saber to me because a lot of friends in the community were involved in different aspects of this particular saber. So I was just a fan of this. The only thing I did was wire it up. I didn't design the chassis or anything, right? So this saber was produced by TJ Wells over at Ignition Saber Company first. And TJ has always been a really good dude in the community, puts out some great products, and is just a cool dude. So never can go wrong buying something from TJ. And the saber was designed from Azzy over at Azzy's Workshop. And I've always wanted one of Azzy's pieces, but he typically, he does all of his sabers. He hand makes them. He has a very long wait list of people who want some of his stuff, understandably. So it's very difficult to get on that and get one of those. So when I heard that he was designing a saber for TJ to do a run on, and I saw the pictures, I jumped on it right away. All right, and then when I got this, I sent it off to Nick over at NG Sabers in the UK, and he etched this in an HR Geiger theme for me. If you're familiar with HR Geiger, then you may recognize some of the etching on there. So he etched it and he colored it for me. It just came out stunning. This was beyond what I was expecting, and I'm just very happy with it. I had him do a brass flagship for me a couple years ago in an HR Geiger theme as well. So it kind of these two sabers go together, and of course this was colored red and black also. So this is the other one he did for me. This one has a Gothmaster chassis. We open this up here. Yeah, running the Gothmaster chassis. This one has a red crystal, which I don't do very often, but I thought it went with the theme here. So yeah, that's what this one's got. So we'll put this off to the side because this isn't the one I'm talking about, even though this one is super dope. So this guy. So on the outside, I mean, there's three people involved right there, right? And then I chose to go with a round quartz crystal. I'm not really a huge fan of the holocron marbles. I think they're great. I think the person that makes them is great and all that. I just don't. I like quartz crystals. I like how they're smoky and how they light up. So that's how I went with mine. It's a 2-button setup, so the switches are on the bottom here. The front being power, the back being auxiliary. And then to get to the chassis, you just want to take this thumb screw and just loosen it up a little bit. So we'll loosen it up a little bit, take the handle, turn it counterclockwise, and pull it off. All right, so when we do that, we expose the chassis. Now, the chassis was designed by my buddy Tim over at Tierfon Orbital. When he came out with this chassis design and I saw it, I knew this was the one that I wanted to use because Tim does great work. I know Tim. We talk probably every day. He's one of my really good friends, along with a few other guys that we're in a group together, and we talk every day, and we're just all happen to be in this hobby, and it's wild the people that you meet being in this hobby and that you become friends with. But anyway, he designed this. I think it's super cool. This entire upper piece is brass. There's two separate pieces here that are brass. This crystal piece and then this crystal piece, they get glued in separately. Now I chose to go with the SLS material, which is the main chassis. I chose to have that dyed red. It came out a lot brighter than I thought it would be. I guess in my mind I had this like dark maroon red that it would be, but it's bright. It started off like this. So I just did a pass of black rub and buff just to kind of dirty it up and weather it up a bit to make it match the rest of the saber. I wasn't super concerned about it. And I think it came out great. All right, so I chose to go with two crystals in my chamber here, a top and bottom. They're both from the same quartz crystal. I actually just cracked that crystal in half, chopped them down to where I needed them to be, and then made them face each other in the crystal chamber. All right, so you have the board access here with everything here, and then a kill switch right in front of the board. This particular saber is running a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Dark Side. Not a speaker that I typically use, but it sounds really good. It does sound really good. It's a very bassy speaker. I had one of these sitting around for a personal project for a long time. So we got put into this guy, and it's just a great speaker. I typically go with the elites only because I install for other people, and they have a great all-around sound. So if you're not like a dark side fan or a light side fan, if you're just gonna put like a ton of different sound fonts on, the Elite might be the best option for you. If you're going to go dark side or you want like a bassy font, the dark side font or the dark side speaker rather, it is the good choice for that, in my opinion. All right, so all of that, what do we got in here? This is an old school Carl Chen Neopixel adapter. Now, this was one that I didn't even realize that I had. It was sitting in the back of my inventory, and I saved the good ones for everyone else. This one's fine though, right? I save the new ones that I have for everyone else when I do an install for them. Since this is mine, I put the older one in there and it works fine. All right, so as far as sound fonts on here, I put my boy's Keenan's from K-Sith. I've got his Alliance sound font, his Dissonance sound font, and then I have a Seethe sound font as well. And I apologize, I don't remember who off the top of my head that belongs to. I feel bad about that, but I don't know who that belongs to, but it is named Seethe, so whoever made that font, if somebody knows that, you can correct me in the comments, all right, or just school me rather. I don't mind being schooled from time to time, but anyway, we'll put a battery in this guy. Come over here and flip the kill switch. So I like the way that round quartz lights up, and shout out to my boy Azzy over at Azzy's Workshop, because he hooked me up with a link to get these, and I'll probably be using these a lot in my future builds because they just light up really well. And then if you could tell hopefully you could tell I've got those two crystals doing a little something different from each other, and we'll hit power. Everything does go kind of a solid, but it reacts to the auxiliary button being pressed. Go to another one. So the red, I thought the red went really well with the saber, though I did want just a few different options on here to see how they look like. But red really being my color of choice for this particular saber setup. All right, now when we want to put the handle back on, we just want to make sure that's loose, but not off. Line up that J-lock system here. Push it all the way in, turn it clockwise until it stops, and then lock this down. And again, if I did all that correctly, I'll know because Nick actually carried the etch through from the handle to the main saber up top here, right? So if you kind of look around here, you can see how all of these, like this is the crease right here, but you can see how all of that stuff lines up. I'm sorry, it would be lining up from here to here, but it all lines up, so it's in there correctly. And we'll hit power again. So this, a very bassy boy, and I'm very happy with how it sounds, how it looks, and I just did the easy part, which was putting some wires in it. All right, but when I want to put a blade in, it has this thumb screw here, so I'm a really big fan of these thumb screws because they just keep me from having to carry a tool around. I'll back that up a little bit. This is made for a 1-inch blade. I don't have a full-length 1-inch blade right now. should get one soon, but anytime I do these demos, I prefer to use this shorter one anyway. This is my TriStar blade from Space Windu over at Civilized Sabers. So really, lots of different friends involved with this setup right here. We got Space Windu, TJ, Azzy, Tim. You know, super cool. Keenan from KSIP. I feel very fortunate to know all those guys. This is the Seethe, and it has its own particular blade style. I believe this is a grayscale font.
Alliance.
Super cool saber. Super cool sound fonts. I'm very, very happy to have this in my collection. So we'll just take the battery out real quick here. Turn this guy on and flip the switch. Everything is good to go. Chassis was a breeze to install. Only thing you got to watch out for really on this particular saber is the switch setup, and that was probably me because I did the switches last. I installed this entire chassis outside of the saber. I made my switch wires just kind of like hanging out over here until I was ready. And then the very last thing I did was I slid this all into the saber, the upper saber, locked it down, fished out my wires for the switches, and wired them up that way, which is different from how I had done a different Ocularis. And I will probably go back to doing it the first way I had ever done one. But that was on me. This saber was very easy to install. The chassis was easy to install. The etch came out phenomenal. The design of the saber is amazing. And yeah, this was actually something I got done close to last weekend, and I was about to do a demo on it, and I just got too wrapped up, and it had been sitting on my desk all week so that I wouldn't forget to come on here and show it off. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye. Okay.